What's going on, YouTubers? This is Harry, aka the Brand Builder, and today's video I'm going to talk about how to use a business to stop living paycheck to paycheck. I'm getting a lot of questions on this topic, and I'm getting a lot of subscribers from it, emails, people are messaging me on Twitter, and if you want to follow me on Twitter, just click on the link below. There's a link to my Twitter so that you can retweet or get in contact with me or see silly topics that I discuss on Twitter. You can follow me there. So, well, I get a lot of suggestions on Twitter about my YouTube videos as well. So some of my subscribers go on there and they follow me there because it's fun, I think. So few people ask me some questions. One person said, well, how do I go about not living paycheck to paycheck? In some ways, I feel like I've at least introduced my ideas about how not to do that. But in case I wasn't clear enough or I didn't give enough information, there's a few steps that you can do. And I know I discussed the philosophy such as learning how to control and manage your money and forcing yourself to at least start with saving like, $5 and putting it away in a coffee can or something like that, and just forcing yourself to do it and trying to imagine that you just can't touch that, right? Because I know it's difficult, but you have to maintain a culture of saving money, because culture is just what you do. Sometimes people don't realize that their culture and their activities and the way that they live correspond with the reason why they live paycheck to paycheck. So some people tell me that they don't make any extra money and that their paychecks are just enough to pay their bills. And I know that there's a lot of people out there who live in that situation. So I'm going to tell you something that you can possibly do besides the sacrifices that you can make and stuff. I'm going to tell you a few things that you can do and possibly a way that you can hack your way to savings, right? So this video is not going to be how to save $1,000 while living paycheck to paycheck or anything like that. I'm going to tell you how to hack your way to not living paycheck to paycheck, because I'm also going to be creating the YouTube channel where I'm going to be talking about a lot of life hacks, and I'm going to be doing tutorials on life hacks. But that's not what I'm going to do with this channel. But pretty soon that channel's coming up. So make sure you subscribe to this channel so that when I introduce the new channel, you'll be ready to get to that channel and subscribe to that one also. So we're going to talk about how you can hack your way to savings. And the title of this is how to use the business to stop living paycheck to paycheck. So I'm going to talk about the most important step in gaining extra money or making extra money in order to stop living paycheck to paycheck. Because some of the methods I use are not available to everybody because of geographical reasons. Maybe you live in a state that doesn't participate in some of the hacks that I deal with. Maybe you live in an area where people aren't so careless about their income or change that they don't throw it on the floor. Like when I find a bunch of change and when I can find enough change to a point where I'll bump it to like about $20 in 1 week on the ground, which is kind of strange, but that's what happens. And let's talk about how you can hack your way to savings. Now, there are a lot of different things that people can do nowadays. The brick and mortar business lifestyle is not necessary anymore. You don't have to start a bakery or get a loan and put up a restaurant in your area, or spend a ton of money on a business, or you don't even have to join a network marketing business. You could use your skill set, something that you're familiar with, right? Something that lives within you. You could utilize your passion to create an extra income where you can hack your way to savings, right? Because some people are very talented and artistic, right? Like some people can draw paintings and they could sell those. And here's, for example, I got this box here. It's an item along with many other items that I have to box up that I sold online. And you can be smart about how to get items to resell. I talk about, taking some of the items in your home that you don't need anymore and trying to resell them. I know a lot of people resell their stuff on Facebook, garage sales. Some people use Twitter. I use eBay. Some people use Amazon. I also use Amazon. I sell my books on Amazon. And there's just and Craigslist too. Craigslist still works, right? I know a lot of people say, Craigslist doesn't work. It's not that Craigslist doesn't work. It's just that you have to be really, Craigslist is going to be, as far as Facebook garage sales and Craigslist is probably going to work better to a certain degree, even though there's a lot of people who are on there scamming and spamming and stuff. But the reason why I say Craigslist works really well is because Craigslist has this secret hack formula called SEO, which is search engine optimization. And when you can manage search engine optimization and you can itemize everything and you can use details the same way that you do with eBay, the more details you put on your eBay items, the easier it is for people to search for that item. The more details you put on it, you want to introduce the color in the listing, and stuff like that. A lot of people don't want to talk about how to, optimize your listing so that it sells. Because some people are very lazy. They want to sell something. I've seen people on Facebook try to sell an item and describe it with absolutely no photos because they're too lazy to pick up their smartphone and take a picture and take several pictures. The more photos, the easier it is to sell an item. If you take one picture of a car that you're trying to get rid of, just one picture of the front, it doesn't show how the interior look, it doesn't show how the seats look. You want to put as many photos as possible to try to sell that item, or people just aren't going to be interested. Or they're going to lead to a bunch of questions, which is going to annoy you, right? So, and it goes for a lot of different items. If you're selling a bicycle and you're not putting the measurements of that bicycle, the measurements of the tire size, or the size of the bicycle, or anything like that, you want to put as many details as possible, right? Measurements is king. When it comes to listing an item, you want to put the measurements in there. Don't be lazy. Put all the description. If you have to do some research, put the description in the title, right? And put the price in there. Put the MSRP in the description. Let people know. If you can find the item online, the original item, include that in your photos, not at the beginning, but include that in your photos too, so that people know, hey, this was what the item was when it was new, if it's like an older item or something like that. And get the details and the measurements if you don't want to measure it by yourself from the listing. Like, say for example, you had an item that you bought from Target or Walmart or something like that 2 years ago, and you only used it twice and you don't like it anymore really, or you don't really need it because somebody got you something else that was comparable to it, and you like using the other one better, and you could still go on the website, the Target website or the Walmart website or whatever, Trader Joe's or something like that, and get the information from that item and put it in the listing. You want to just go ahead and do that. Don't be so lazy. Put the information about your item up there, because a lot of people will complain, oh, I can't sell the item. In one of my yard sale groups on Facebook, every once in a while, I'll go on there and I'll hit the person up. I won't try to embarrass them on their listing and put something in their comment. about, or sometimes I will, like, I will play the devil's advocate, and even if I'm not interested, I'll ask them, hey, what's the measurements? Just because I know that other people aren't going to be interested unless they can see that. I don't do that much. I've only done it a couple of times when I thought that it was a great item. If I sold it, what would I do to sell that item quicker to help that person out? Because I'll notice that they keep putting bump, 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 or something like that, trying to get the item sold because no one's paying attention to it. And it's not that no one likes the item, is that you don't have enough information, or the price you want for the item is outrageous, right? Because some people are desperate, right? And they have this like mentality where they have to have the greatest value for something, and it might not even be worth that, or it might not be marketable at that price that they want it for, right? So they're just sitting there holding on to it. And if you, like, for example, if they can live with $150 for an item, and they're trying to sell it for $250, well, I can understand if you're listing it for $250 because you think people are going to talk you down. I say list it for $175 and tell people you won't go any lower than $150. But putting it for $250, it kind of makes people feel like you have this desperate mindset, right? And they're probably thinking like, I don't really think it's worth that much, and this person's probably really, really desperate. So I'm going to stay away from them because there's probably something wrong with the item. And sometimes you don't want to list too cheap either because people might think that there's something wrong with it. So if you can get some items at a really good discount price. I've actually had a situation where I purchased an item and sold it 10 times more than what I got it for, because I knew what it could go for, and the person really didn't want nearly anything for it, and they were clearing out their house and they had to go, and I got it for $10, all right, and I sold it for over $100. And sometimes you can do that, and you can list it properly. I posted it on Craigslist, and within an hour I had it sold. That's just how good the product was. So sometimes, eBay's not going to work for everybody, and you got to go to Craigslist. But I would say if you want to stop living paycheck to paycheck, you just got to start thinking about a business. You got to hone your skills. Whatever you think you do. If you know how to knit, if you know how to make hats, scarves, if you know how to spray paint T-shirts, if you know how to do graffiti on T-shirts or something, if you know how to make T-shirts, do that. If you're a photographer, you know how to do photography, you can charge people for your services. If you know how to paint, you do interior design, charge people for your services. You might want to think about stuff like that. But a business is going to help you if you're just living paycheck to paycheck. And let's unpack that term, paycheck, right? What's wrong with getting paid every day, right? So if you're living paycheck to paycheck, what's wrong with getting paid every day? What's wrong with creating a business where you can make money every single day? Like, if you go to a store, if you go shopping, you go to a mall, right? That store is making money every day, not just every week. I mean, they pay their employees every week or every other week, but they make money every single day, right? So you work at a clothing store, and the sales for that clothing store, maybe they make about, anywhere between $9,000 and they make anywhere between $9,000 and $70,000, right? Depending on where they're located. Maybe they're in the inner city, in a very populated city, and low end is like 70,000. Not if it's like a Macy's or a Bloomingdale's, or if it's on Saks Fifth Avenue, maybe it's going to make $300,000 a day. But because I live here in New York. But what's wrong with getting paid every day? What's wrong with finding a 100% profitable hack that you can't lose them any money and there's no risk involved? What's wrong with making yourself a little bit of money every day? You know, even if you only make $5 a day with a little tiny hack, you know, if you only make $5 a day and you put it away. So you can still live paycheck to paycheck and put your extra money away for at least a year or so that the next year you don't live paycheck to paycheck. And then you've learned some skills along the way that can help you increase your revenue, right? So business and investment versus trading your time for money, because when you're living paycheck to paycheck, you've created a dynamic where you're trading your time for money. So the only way that you're going to make money is if you trade your time for it. You have to find other ways to make money besides trading your time for it, right? So if you can get into the habit of making money without trading your time for making money, then you're probably going to be in a good position, right? So that's just the way I look at it. And I'm hoping that with this video you can learn something, right? I just talked about Craigslist. I just talked about Facebook. And you can also do a lot of reverse hustling, which is something I think I talked about before, where you could find items online, because some people don't like to shop online, right? And you know that they're in the market for an item, right? Like, let's just suppose that somebody wants a camera, right? And they can go to the store and get the camera for about $700-800. But you could get it online on Amazon, the same exact camera, for about $400. So you come between in the middle and say, how about if I could save you, you know, $200 and you buy it from me for $600? So once you make that sale, you just made yourself $200. So that's reverse hustling. You can go backward, right? Because a lot of people still won't buy online. They just won't do it, right? So you could just reverse hustle. And I think I talked about that in one of my videos before. So that's one option. You might want to learn how to reverse hustle. You know, find items that people are looking for and sell it to them. You know, you can find that people are looking for these items because you can join some of these yard sale sites on Facebook, and people would put ISO, in search of. And when they tell you what they're in search of, you could just hit that Google button and just start typing in what they're looking for. And then you could respond to them, or you could respond to them right away and say, hey, what are you looking to pay for this item, you know? Or you could find an item. Like, let's suppose they say they're in search of something, and you can find it online for about $20. And you go on there and you say, you automatically type this person, you say, is $45 too much? They might say, no, that's perfect. You know, that's perfect. They might have paid a lot more for it. Who knows? Because they're actually in search of it. And they should actually be able to find anything they're in search of. So the fact that they said to you, to the public that they're in search of something means that they can't find it, but you could find it. So I guess the whole debacle is, what are they willing to pay for it, right? So that's where you come in as a middleman, and you have the ability to negotiate what they're willing to pay for it. So a business or investments, you can start investing. You can start a money market account at your bank, or you can start putting money in a savings account. And as you start building up a savings after your business has been successful for about a year to 3 years, you can start putting even more money away. And as you start getting up there, you'll start making about $1,000 or $500 or $100 a year from your money. So, you know, roughly that's about, you know, an extra 8 to 10 to maybe $20 a month that you didn't make. And then there's also one more thing that I want to talk about. A lot of people pay their bills and they're not using their credit card, right? Because nobody wants interest. But what about the things that you have to pay, right? And then you have that 2% cashback rewards cards that you can get. So you can utilize those, get some cashback rewards, and then pay yourself those rewards, right? Don't use it towards your bill because you have to pay those bills anyway. So pay the bill with your credit card and get those cashback rewards. And I know that some bills will put you in a situation where in order to pay it with a credit card, there's a service charge of $2 to $3 or $5 or whatever. But let's suppose that bill is $200, right? And you have the opportunity to, with paying that bill, you have the opportunity to still make $10 versus the $5, right? And you still make $5. So you subtract the $5, you still make $5. So that's another tip that I have for you guys. I'm actually going to end this video. I want to thank everybody for subscribing. And if you're just stumbling upon this video, subscribe and like and share. And I hope this video here goes viral because I really hope that I'm answering people's questions. And I hope that this information is useful. So take it and have your morning coffee and enjoy. And yeah, by the way, Saturdays are going to be my video days. I might be uploading them on Sunday. So be ready for that. They might not always be uploaded on Saturday. I might upload them on Sunday. But I do make my videos on Saturdays, guys. So thank you. Have fun.